Welcome back, agents. So I was doing some story sleuthing on chapter 2. Now, we've got a lot going on in chapter 2, but at the same time, not a lot. So there's a little bit of slow pace for this chapter. Let's jump into who we found out was at the door. I've got all kinds of notes to work with. Yes. Now, who was at the door? Our new character, the tutor, Percy. What is his Snagby? Percy Snagby. She has decided to rename him based on the monogram on his leather case. Peebs. PBS. She's decided that is a word, even though there's no vowels in it. We hear the vowels because the B has that E sound in there, so she's named him Peebs. I am certain he is not thrilled with this. The reason that I feel he's not thrilled with this is because he kind of thinks he's really smart. I mean, he is a tutor, so I guess he should feel that way. So his communication with her was kind of interesting. And my question for you is, was he trying to show off how smart he is? Or was he assuming that she was undereducated because maybe in the letter from her mom, Baroness Wentworth, who apparently is living in the country, we'll touch on that in a moment, maybe she said that he was going to be her first tutor, and she assumed that meant something. I don't know, maybe. But maybe he just thought that not everyone is as smart as he is. There's a lot of kind of wondering why he was already throwing a vocabulary lesson at her about the gondola. In an instant there, was he assuming other adults would overhear and see how smart he was and how he was already being educational and over delivering? I get that because I've been guilty of doing such things, which I again learned over time that was dumb. Because who wants to be educated instantly, especially when you haven't even figured out what they do or do not know? Okay, now we have he's at the door. Oh, very unobservant because he didn't notice the big balloon at the top of the house. How do you miss that? I don't understand. But then we go later in the attic and he didn't notice the bell in the attic. I don't know. I would, if I was in the attic and I was looking for my student in the attic, I kind of would make note of the things that are around, especially things that make noise. Maybe that's just me. But there was that. Now, their communication. She was snarky, almost mean snarky. And she called him daft, which means dumb or stupid, after she figured out that he could hear. So she's, I don't know if this is 100% because we're only in chapter 2, if this is her personality or if this is her speaking through anger, because as she pointed out that there are some people that are missing in her life. Let's see, where do we have that? That not fair part. Not fair. Then it appears the gondola. Nope, not there. There it is. I say not fair, terribly fair. So, her mother's gone away. The governess is getting married, and she actually knows who she's getting married to. So I thought that was interesting. So she did have some clues, because if she knew his name, then she should have known. So she's Cecil. She's getting married to Cecil. We don't have a last name, but she's also called him stupid. So daft is definitely more on the dumb side than the stupid side. That was interesting. And then her mother being gone to live in the country. Usually in that time period, when a mother's gone to live away from their child, it's because of illness. So an illness could have been stress. There was definitely, our medical system was very different then, of how we understood the body and the mind and all of that. So that's interesting as well. Now, she's gone away, potentially sick, and leaving Ada alone. And is the snark because she's angry? Because she's been abandoned by two of the most important motherly figures in her life? Possibly. Or she's just snarky, period. Now, I loved her little part about the words, her assumption on words. There's no one for you to toot. Like, tutor. I'm quite certain that's not a word, said Percy. Offered Percy. And her comeback. Why not? Plumbers plumb, waiters wait, butlers buttle, and tutors toot. And he's like, butlers don't buttle, because he's already addressed that they don't, tutors don't toot. But this, I mean, look at this. It's very funny. So she's got this interesting logic. Does that lead me to believe that snark is somewhat true? Based on her logic, misconceiving her snark as snark, and it's really just her logical way of thinking. Maybe. Okay, now, let's see. Mr. Babbage. Who is he? Like, she booked it. She was, well, booked it, slight word there. But she like took off. She was like, oh God, he only comes once a week. This is a big deal. So that was really interesting. I can't wait to figure out who Mr. Babbage is and why she's running off to discover that. But I loved how she got distracted by the new object in the attic, his leather case, and just trying to figure out what's in it. So she, again, that little part of giving him his new name, I love that part. So she's like looking at it and trying to figure out how to open it, and she notices his monogram, PBS. Now, I'm curious what the B stands for, since he wanted to skip that. So PB Snagsby is my name. And then she asks him why he put the monogram on there, and it was just to make it more me. It's for me. And he kind of assumed that her was an actual, like, I like that idea, and that's acceptable. And I agree with that thought process, that probably is exactly what she was thinking. So then she decides his name is Peebs, because PBS. Yeah, that's an interesting one. And then we end the chapter basically there with her running off. So I got notes everywhere. So, there's that interesting thing. So we've got words: daft, heralded, disdained, and emphatic. So those are all really good ones. So we've got the daft, not very smart. Herald, announcing. And I think that's something that they kind of did in the day. It's like our doorbells today. Disdain. That's such a good word. I love the word disdain. Now, it feels like in this story that this is a fitting word for that time period, but disdain is definitely still a long-living word. So I love that one. Now, there was something here that I was wondering if we had a clue. Distracted by the case. Oh, the pause for the math book. By whom? I'm wondering who she's hoping wrote the math book. Now remember, she's living near London University in the neighborhood, and it's an up and coming. It was just founded, so there's a lot of educators around. So I'm betting that maybe she actually knows some of these authors of the books that are written for education. So, maybe she has a preferred author because she knows them, or it's her favorite author for math because she loves math so much. There's a lot of things there, but that was something that I put down as a detail I need to remember later, because that might be a clue into her personality trait or a clue to the story. So that is it for chapter 2. Oh my goodness. Now, Baroness, well, I'll do a little ditty here on, because she's Lady Ada. And so their titles are kind of important, because we don't use these titles very much anymore, and especially outside of the UK, it is rarely used, though some other countries do use them. So it's an interesting thing to look at, how they have titles on top of titles like Mr., Mrs., Lady, Baroness, Lord. So that is it for today. I will see you for the next debriefing of chapter 3. Go sleuth your books.